Morning, guys. Happy Saturday morning. So, don't know what y'all are doing this weekend, but I figure if you're anywhere down south, you're probably doing a little bit of cleanup after the storm. Hopefully, it's not terribly bad. But at least for me, we had enough wind and stuff like that that knocked limbs out of trees and stuff like this. Okay, so got to go around, clean up, get stuff just straightened out a bit. Again, typical thing you got to do after any spring storm. But I thought this would be a good time to kind of show you something that you can do with all this scrap that you got laying around. Okay. And again, I'm going to say now because we're preppers. We don't do when the time comes to need it, we do it beforehand. All right. So, many times we have talked about what you're going to do in the way of feeding yourself throughout any SHTF. Okay, when the balloon goes up, the grocery stores are closed, you got no power, whatever. And so we've talked about gardening, we've talked about food, we've talked about storage and putting stuff back. But eventually there is going to come a time when you are going to need to catch, trap, fish, whatever it is for your sustenance. All right. And anybody that does any sort of homesteading knows there's not enough hours in the day to get everything done that you need to do. So you need to work smart, not hard. And I did a video on that a while back. The one thing that you don't have enough of course, that's time. So the whole point of this one is to show you how you can go fishing or go trapping without spending any time later, because you're going to have so much more to do. Okay. And so the big key on that is how to make snares. And what I want to show you here is how to make an L7 snare. And this is something that the kids can get involved in too. I mean, it's not rocket science here what we're doing. I think, kids can easily go find up sticks. And if the kids are any sort of safe with a knife, you're good. So that stick that I just showed you, and again, I'm doing this ahead of time, so it's not like I'm out bushcrafting this or whatever. So I still have the benefit of using tools. Right? I'm not, hiking through the woods. So I cut off what is relatively a straight piece of wood, probably about 15 inches long or something like this. And if you see in here, okay, I have cut a slot about halfway through. And what I am doing, I'll try to see if I can show this on camera somehow, is I am trying to notch, put basically a 7 notch in it, okay? This being the cut being the top of my 7, and then I'm going to come down, see if I can do it here, from the top over here down this way, all right? And this is going to be a peg in the ground. So I wanted to show you this while I'm doing it. So I'm going to finish notching this out. This is a piece of hardwood. I prefer using a piece of hardwood because it will last. It's a little harder to work with. Obviously it's hardwood. But if you use a piece of pine or whatever, pine is too easy to fray and you can't have a good edge here, which is what you need. So let me finish notching this out and I'll show you the next step when I get there. Okay, so finished my little whittling away here, if you will. So there's that one stick. And then I also needed to make a peg with the same notch to it. And the reason being is the long one you're going to drive into the ground, and the short one is going to be your trigger. And obviously you've got to work around a little bit. My other hand's over here, so I'm not cheating. But you got to, sticks aren't straight. So, you got to work around to the point where you can hold the big stick with the little stick, and you don't need to have much. I mean, it's a trigger, okay? I've got maybe, an eighth of an inch grabbing in there. I don't know if you can, how close you can see it, how close I can get it. But that'll give you an idea. You're just trying to set a trigger here, all right? And I'll show you where we go from here. So this piece is done. So now with your little piece, and again, like I said, we're preppers. This is, even though this is somewhat of a bushcraft skill, we're preppers. We prepare ahead of time, not when we need to do this. So making some of these now, which will cost you nothing, okay, you'll have them for later, and good to have in your bug out bag, in your preps, whatever it is, because you might need to catch squirrel, rabbit, or fish somewhere, okay? So next thing you want to do is you want to drill 2 holes in the end, such as so, all right? And I'll show you why. Because again, when you're putting this together, all right, this piece is in the ground and this piece is going to be hooked, or is going to be connected to a tree, a fishing pole, whatever, and I'll show you that eventually. All right. So as you've got it, what you're going to do, and we'll do the squirrel one here just to show you. I'm going to make a noose out of a piece of wire. And all I do is wrap the wire around itself a couple of times there. So as I drop a piece, like that. Okay, so so it just easily slides, no problem, because that's what you want it to do. When it catches you, when your prey comes through there, you want it to cinch down. All right, so there. Now, what you're going to do with this, like I said, it's going to trigger like this. All right, so you're going to take the other end and put it through the bottom hole. Now, obviously, if you're out bushcrafting, you're not going to have a drill, so you're just going to notch this or whatever it is to hold on and wrap it around. But seeing as how we're preppers, we will do it so it's a lot more secure. So now what I have, if I can show you this whole thing, is put it on the wrong side. Wouldn't you know it? Okay, I put it on the wrong side. Let's go back and fix that. Easiest way to do that. And see, I make mistakes too. Put it on backwards. Let's try this again. Okay, so again, I'm just wrapping my wire right there just so I have it hooked in to it. But again, it's away from my trigger, not the same side. So now when I have this set, okay, this is what I have. Stake in the ground, trigger, and wire. Now, I like to use wire. You can use 550 cord, you can use a bootlace, whatever would be, whatever. If you're bushcrafting, you're going to use whatever you have handy. Again, being preppers, I'm going to use a wire because A, it's more sturdy, and B, if you catch the animal, they can't chew through it or something like that as they're dangling there. So, you're good that way. Plus, you're just going to have a lot more strength in a piece of wire. I mean, not that 550 cord isn't strong, but I'm going to use wire. All right. So then, the next step would be to take, with the top here, your 550 cord or piece of wire, and this is what you're going to hook to your spring pole. And I will go out and show you this one here, and that'll be the next step. So off the porch I go and out to the yard. So I'll see you when I get out there. Okay, so now I'm out in the yard, and I've basically put everything together, and I'll show you what I've done here. So the stake is in the ground, and I've got the trigger set there on it. Now if you look close, you'll see there's a wire from that top hole in there, and that goes all the way up, and it's attached to a tree limb that I have pulled down, so it's acting as a spring pole. All right. So we come back down. On the other side, you will see there that there is my noose attached out of the bottom. And the whole point here is you want your prey to go through the noose and trip the snare and catch your prey. Now, obviously, I couldn't, if I was really trying to catch squirrels or catch rabbits right now, I couldn't just leave this like this and hope and pray that a squirrel came through. It's not going to happen that way. So you've got to build yourself a little box behind it, behind your snare, so there's only one way in and one way out. That's through your snare. So, sticks, twigs, rocks, whatever it would be, and then you've got to bait your trap. Well, peanut butter, which as preppers we all have, is great for baiting your trap. So, not that I'm going to use a real squirrel for this, but I will show you what happens. So, hence Mr. Stick here is Mr. Squirrel, okay? He comes through, he sniffs the peanut butter, he tries to go in, pulls that, and off and running he goes, and then Mr. Squirrel is now hanging from the tree. So, that's kind of how this whole thing works. But that's pretty much what an L7 snare trap is. And, like I said, now's a good time to build some for yourself. If you make, 4, 5, 6 of them, this also works great for fishing. You can do the same thing, except instead of using the noose on the end of it, tie your fishing line to it, throw your fishing line out in the water, and poof, when the fish bites the hook, and pulls on it, he's going to set off the trap and set the hook for you. So just a good way to, something to play with, practice with, build, make yourself that doesn't cost anything. Hope to God you never need to use them, but it's just a little trick in case you ever get to a point where, we're eating squirrels and rabbits that we got to catch wild. Here's how you do it. So have a good one, y'all. Pinball out.